now. It is Thursday night. Welcome to another episode of Gun News Weekly. We're going to talk about the latest news. A couple of the discussions definitely going to happen tonight. Welcome to the show. Ross is out in Colorado. What's up, Ross?
Oh, what's happening tonight, Kevin? Glad to be here. Busy Thursday night. Catch me over in the chat on YouTube and gunchannels.com or gunchannels.com. Thanks for being here tonight.
You got it. Ross is man in the chat. Casey's here as well. What's up, Casey?
I thought Ross was going to say, catch me outside.
He did get a little stumbly there.
Yeah. How
you doing, buddy?
Good.
Man.
Yeah.
Right on. And the Googler, fresh from the first Big Three episode, which we'll get to later in the show. He's driving. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good. En route.
Right on. So, Ross, we'll get to the Big Three later tonight. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in as always. Please share this with your friends. Go check out guncarrier.com. Check out everydaycarrylife.com. We'll be talking about those Kenai bags that we used this past week, Ross. Mid-show.
Yeah.
But we're going to start with the stuff going on out in Las Vegas. We'll continue that conversation, which we started last week. We'll talk about what's going on with the media. We'll talk about HR 3999 because everyone that's got a YouTube channel seems to need to have a conversation about that. So we'll examine that, including another lawsuit that I think is equally as important. So let's get started. Unanswered questions from the Washington Post. Las Vegas hotel owners dispute police timeline. Say there was no gap between reported gunshots and massacre. The owners of the Las Vegas hotel where a gunman opened fire last week disputed on Thursday the police account of how part of the shooting unfolded. Basically, police have added to the confusion, saying that on Monday, contrary to an earlier timeline that they had released, the shooter panicked, fired at a hotel security guard 6 minutes before the massacre began. Now they say that this 6-minute gap, the Las Vegas sheriff said the police who responded to the 32nd floor did not know that the guard had been shot. So they don't know how long of it. Everyone wants to know how long it took for the cops to get into the room to stop the massacre, and everyone wants to know what could have been done to make it less deadly. It seems like everyone's out to prove these points. But the bigger point is you now have the hotel owners who have their security questioning and doubting what the cops are saying. What do you guys think so far?
Dude, this whole thing is a colossal shit show. Nothing makes any sense whatsoever. None.
Gosh, I got to say I completely agree with Casey on this one.
In the town that is more heavily surveilled, imagine the amount of cameras per square inch of that joint.
Why haven't they shown the dramatic footage of that guy walking in slow?
Anywhere except sitting on the shitter or in your room in that hotel, you are on film.
Dude, why don't we even have one video of him walking in a hallway somewhere? You know what I mean? Just showing that they have video.
Checking in.
Nothing.
Checking in, Ross, which apparently he checked in, had some comped rooms, waited for that side room to be opened up, got into that room. So again, the story's changed a bunch because they're getting more information, but however, they're not releasing any videotape. It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Also, I learned today, and well, I say it's confirmed. Hell, who knows? The internet's just a lawless wasteland, but apparently some of the VIPs, or a lot of the VIPs, due to elevator traffic, have access to service elevators for quicker up and down, which makes sense.
I've heard this.
Just something else to throw in the mix there.
Well, how about this? He was an alleged gambler that won all this money and did all this great gambling. I haven't seen one picture of this guy, and Googler, maybe you can find one, of him gambling. No overhead shot at him at a poker table. No him at a slot machine. No him holding up a big paper check. Nothing.
I don't think they necessarily need to show any of that, but I mean, the simple fact is that this doesn't add up, and I'm glad. You know, I always ask questions when these events happen, Sandy Hook, you know, and things just smell a little off. Well, this smells a little off, and what I like or what I appreciate is that a lot of the general public is questioning this. They're questioning what they're being told, and we're talking about everyday average Joe citizen, you know, not the typical, you know, quote unquote nut job, you know, tinfoil hat wearing, you know, the everyday people and people that I run into just in my walk of life, and you know, people that believe the news, that this and that. A lot of people just are not buying this because again, it doesn't add up.
There's a lot
Nothing.
of witnesses. There's a lot of suppressed stuff. You know, you see anchors talking in some original videos that, you know, weren't re-aired, where people are saying there was, you know, I heard and watched and saw.
Yeah,
We all,
that
we all became acoustic
experts
over the week as well. If you listen to any or all of those videos,
Yeah.
but the thing about it is we've all been on the range. We've all been in different areas. We all haven't had guns fire going over our heads or at us necessarily, or impacting near us. So I don't know how the average everyday, you know, gun person can really say I'm an expert after listening to that. But I think anyone that's listened to it has to say, I hear two different rates of fire and I hear two different directions. And it's not about echoes. It's not about report or anything like that. It's very distinct in my mind, especially the cab driver video.
That's the one that sells at home to me. Not to mention, guys, if you go look at some of these videos that are throwing out some of these theories and, you know, the what ifs, YouTube is also suppressing the shit out of a lot of the comment section. You know, you'll have a video up top that says that there's 600 comments and there's, you know, 60 that are showing. And there's been made a lot of mention of that as well. You know,
Well, that's their right.
You know, I don't buy big government conspiracy shit, and maybe I'm a fool for thinking that way, but man, this thing just stinks, the whole thing. And if I'm asking this question, and you know, Miss Simmons that came into my office at 10 o'clock this morning that, you know, lives with 6 cats, I mean, how are the investigators not? I mean, how are they going home at night? Who knows, man? It's
a lot of unanswered questions still, and a lot more details to be exposed, I guess you could say.
And what pisses me off
a lot
is
of rumors too. A lot of rumors.
The fact of the matter is that Vegas is the most surveilled place on the planet.
Dude, yes.
They've got video of every move that was made. If it's something other than what they're saying, we should know about it through video. The fact that why
aren't we being shown the video is the question then.
It's a very valid question, because in any other shooting, you'd at least see the guy walking up to an elevator or something, you know, with a bag. You know what I mean? Not that that's so much incriminating, but it shows that there's, you know, we're making progress. This thing, they haven't budged off a dead center. They've come up with 3 separate different stories. The eyewitness accounts on the ground, at least the ones I'm hearing, maybe they're fake, maybe they're not, but these are people that were in the hospital for the shootings, are saying that there was a bunch of other shit going on that nobody's talking about. And the shame here is that in this day and age, you can't trust the news you're getting anymore.
No.
You know what I mean? It's almost as if, I mean, even if they're telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth, which we all know they're not, it's hard to trust anybody in this situation. So the information out there is what information is out there, and take it with a grain of salt, and understand that, you know, there's really nothing that I can say that I trust out there anymore.
No.
You know what I mean?
No. I mean, even simple things in medical, like, okay, you got the doctors, you know, what kind of projectile did you remove from people? You know, did you remove 5.56? Did you remove, you know, 7.62?
Yeah, right. We haven't heard any of that, right?
9 mil? Did
Nothing.
you know?
Nothing. They said it was the bump stocks seem to be all 5.56 style rifles, and then he's got what looks like 308s with bipods on.
We don't know. We don't know anything besides a couple of brand names that have been thrown around that I don't even think have been really confirmed.
I mean, we
just
have
bipods and bump stocks.
We have no proof that asshole fired shot one. I mean, think about the simple shit. Just a ballistic test of the guy's hands and arms. Does he have powder residue? I mean, you know, was he the shooter or did the real shooter go down the service elevator? I mean, who knows?
They haven't given you it. Don't they usually give you an amount, the total amount of bullets that were fired by this point? I mean, haven't they been able to count shell casings? I mean, give me something. I don't get it.
One would think. I mean, the photo shows some 5.56 casings around the dead body. I mean, I'm sure casings flew out those windows. You know, just like the guy with the theory of the second shooter in the 250-yard range. Well, there's multiple places that could have been. I mean, is that being investigated? Are people going to those areas and trying to see if there's shell casings in other elevated, you know, potential shooting position locations? I mean,
that's going to be up to the investigator.
You know, not to mention,
sit back and wait.
This surveillance in Vegas exists externally, outside as well. I mean,
we all run in circles of people that have been around guns for a long time, and most of the people that I'm just listening to think that there's nefarious things here.
Yeah, but even people that know dick
why
about
is
guns.
still the question.
People that don't know dick about guns are not questioning the why or the motive. They're questioning the how.
Right.
Because
here's even more, you know, to add to the mix, and this is part of the title of the show tonight is CNN sucks at guns. This stuff's unbelievable. This is what went on CNN trying to talk about what a bump stock was. So, you know, again, this is one of those funny animations where but let's start with okay, that's a collapsible stock that's being adjusted to one of the 6 positions to the other.
That poor gun is getting raped.
Now, this gun also has a grenade launcher and a suppressor on it.
Nice.
How does a bump stock work? This is what they're showing the world on CNN.
With a grenade launcher. Like those come with them.
I mean, wrong. Just look at that thing. Casey, there was one meme that used adult-themed sound in the background during that right there.
I mean, come on, man.
That's the first one. The next one.
This is a major news network that can't get something as simple as an illustration of a bump stock, right?
I mean guns are in the news enough. Can you get one guy, one gal on staff that knows, you know, basic mechanics?
From NBC4 in Ohio, the gun debate goes big, and if you listen carefully here to the announcer, this guy's shooting an AR-15 at the watermelon. Ready?
This video used to shoot a watermelon using an AR-15.
Boom. Yes, that's what happens when you shoot a watermelon with a shotgun at that close range.
Where can I get the where can I get the red cased 5.56?
So there you go. The third one
is Mossberg AR-15. Who knows?
The third one was the guy Chris Cuomo in Vegas on the Strip talking to somebody, talking about how the shooter was using there was no like question. He acted like he knew what he was talking about. Google it if you can find this one. Excuse me. The shooter was using a special kind of ammunition in the automatic weapons that shot faster than the bullets that shoot from the semi-automatic weapons, causing more destruction. So faster bullets.
Oh yeah. Sounds legit.
Dude, this we've talked about. Well, never mind. I'm not going to get political on it. It's hard not to touch on that subject, but come on,
We're
know what
get
you're talking about. If you're going to try to push an agenda, know both sides of the agenda before you start pushing. You know what I mean? Come on, that's ridiculous.
Let me just
again. I'm not even looking at this thing from the political ramifications and aspect. Yeah, I mean,
we have to now.
Well, sure. I'm just saying.
All right. So the next thing that I wanted to share with you is we need to talk about bump stocks in a little more detail.
No, we don't. They're pieces of shit.
They are. We all agree that. But I don't know if you saw this or not. This is one of the analysts from the ATF who's now retired. One of the analysts who actually was one of the guys who determined that bump stocks were legal when it was up for debate. Let's take a listen for just a minute here.
Until he retired a few years ago, Rick Vasquez was a senior analyst with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
This is courtesy of the Vice News channel.
To determine if they violated a ban on machine guns. In 2010, his office reviewed a bump stock device sent in by a company called SlideFire. Do you remember what you thought when you saw this device?
Thought it just like, man, it doesn't fit the definition, it doesn't fit the rulings, but we better run this up the chain.
A bump stock creates a cradle for a semi-automatic rifle to rest in, so that the gun naturally slides back and forth from recoil while being fired. If the shooter pulls forward at the same time, the trigger will hit his finger quickly and repeatedly, creating the effect of machine gun fire. Because I think a lot of people who aren't familiar with guns would just think, well, that looks like a machine gun and sounds like a machine gun, it must be a machine gun.
You're exactly right. And of course, we've got a lot of criticism over this. So why is it not a machine gun? If Congress wants to change the law and come up with a new interpretation, then ATF will follow that new interpretation. But until they do that, they have to go by the guidelines they have today.
Those guidelines are based on a 1934 law that defines what a machine gun is. According to the law, a machine gun must fire multiple bullets with a single function of the trigger. But when technicians tested the SlideFire bump stock, they found that although the bullets came out rapidly and in a continuous flow, each time you fired a shot, you technically pulled the trigger. That might sound like a trivial difference, but drawing the line between trivial differences is precisely what regulators are expected to do.
All right. Interesting, correct?
Very.
Very.
So thanks to Vice News for that one, and that's over on HBO. But I thought it was a very interesting conversation. You want to see the full clip? It's about 5 minutes long.
That was actually a great explanation of how it works.
It really was, and that's why we show that stuff. So it explained everything, and then also today there are people showing that you can use your belt loop to bump fire something. You can use a stick. You can use a pen. You can adjust when a gun has recoil. If you can do something in the trigger area with your finger, you basically can bump fire it without even that stock. Now,
not at all.
That's how it started. People were doing that in cornfields.
Today on YouTube, they have banned bump stock videos after Las Vegas shooting. I'm waiting to see if they bump our discussion on the live show a while back about bump stocks, where we discussed going to SHOT Show and me saying, I didn't like it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't make it function the way they said. Quote, we have long had a policy against harmful and dangerous content, a YouTube spokesman told The Hill. In the wake of the recent tragedy in Las Vegas, we have taken a closer look at videos that demonstrate how to convert firearms to make them fire more quickly, and we've expanded our existing policy to prohibit these videos.
It happens once, and they take it away from everybody. That's mismanagement is what that is. It's mismanagement at YouTube.
And again, there's zero proof that this thing was actually used
or that they used a YouTube video to make the unit function that way. It's ridiculous.
They have a whole series of guidelines that they're putting this into, which includes videos that promote violence, hate, threats, scamming attempts. Hundreds of thousands of videos are posted daily, so they rely on their own users to report violations. And they also have, what else did it say? They also have things like that are not okay, like drug abuse, underage drinking and smoking, or bomb making. Drug abuse, aren't there like straight up smoking and vaping channels?
Oh, yeah.
big time. Dab networks and shit. I saw come across my feed one time. Like, these guys are just doing drugs on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Oh, but they're probably doing it in California, down the street from the YouTube.
Right. It's an overreach. It's piss poor management on their level. The manager that takes one employee because one employee is hard to deal with or needs to be fired, he won't balls up and fire the guy. He punishes everybody. And this is just an example of that type of mismanagement.
Now we're gonna jump stories and we're gonna bring it right back to bump stocks, but this story involves bump stocks too. This is the big one that everyone's talking, huffing and puffing about today all over the internet. House GOP members on Tuesday unveiled their version of a ban on bump fire stocks. The measure is H.R. 3999. It was filed by Florida Republican Carlos Curbelo, joined by Representative Seth Moulton, a Massachusetts Democrat. They say that the move aims to prohibit the manufacture, sale, or use of bump stocks. Here's the crazy irony of the first part of this. The guy from Miami, his parents escaped a tyrannical government that killed people so that they could have him here in the United States, from Cuba to Miami. They move here. They have this guy. He rises up in the American dream and becomes a politician and can't even see the Constitution.
It just goes to show you the level of corruption, the depth of the swamp, Kevin.
He said,
it really does, dude.
He said, quote, tell me if you've heard this before. He said, quote, this common sense legislation will ban devices that blatantly circumvent already existing laws without restricting Second Amendment rights. Really? This joins both S.1916 and H.R. 3947, a pair of bills last week that were putting both bump fire triggers, slide fire stocks, and crank triggers, with the exception for military and law enforcement use.
So what do they do to ban?
Hold on. There's a bigger thing here. Before we get into, tonight, I honestly really don't want to talk about who's stepping up to support this or who's not. Let's talk about what we support and what we believe here. We're normal, average, everyday gun guys that have gotten into this gun media thing as a result of this show being on for so long and us doing our thing in this space, right? But we're still just dads. We all work today. We all ran our kids to and from.
Speak for yourselves.
Except for this guy that's with us. But the bill, although it's only 3 pages, it basically says in there, the language is very ambiguous in that it says it bans, prohibits the manufacture, sale, or ownership. You can't even, this isn't a grandfather thing. This is a ban of all those people that are buying these bump stocks for $900 on Gunbroker and shit. It's crazy. This is a straight out ban of anything that makes a rifle, the rate of fire increase. So now we're talking about triggers, optics,
belt loops, rubber bands,
anything. Handguards. My trigger finger
that's how you do it. That's what bump fire became, was people grabbing their belt loop and shooting their gun from their hip.
Well, Ross,
they're gonna ban belt loops?
Ross, think about this language for a second. If I buy a gun and my rate of fire with my human finger is a certain amount, and I train and I get one of those things you can get, the exercise things, and I really work to make it faster, is my finger then aiding the gun to become faster, and therefore is my finger breaking the law?
Yep. Travis Haley's
is Jerry Mikulak breaking the law?
Whew. Okay, so that's all out there, and everyone's really about that. 10 House Republicans have jumped on this. If you want to really get into this, there's a bunch of people on YouTube that are telling you where to go and who to talk to and all that stuff. If you feel so inclined, please support the fight. We support the fight here by getting the word out every week.
I mean, bottom line, I don't think anybody in the gun world, in this space, gives a shit if slide fire stocks exist or not. But the simple fact is, it is what it is, and you start taking something away, like Ross has always said, give an inch, take a mile.
Hey,
Second Amendment is unequivocal in our world, that we've all agreed to that many, many times here. It says shall not infringe. Shall not means
guys
don't. And why? So that we don't end like Cuba. So we don't end like Cuba looking at the government saying, I got to go somewhere else to raise my family.
So we already have murder outlawed. The tool to do it with is irrelevant. That's already against the law. If it's not stopping somebody because it's against the law, what regulation is going to stop the rest of it? I mean, come on, people, use a little common sense. Stop listening to people and listen to yourselves. This stuff is easily debunked.
Take it one step further, Ross. You've already got the gun. So you put the slide fire on. That makes you more apt to do it. I mean, I don't. It's so dumb,
dude. One person in the history of time has killed a bunch of people with a slide bump fire.
Allegedly.
I don't even know
mass
that.
shooting. Mass shooting.
Allegedly.
I mean, come on, man. This is a crazy situation. It's a bad situation. We can't fix everything. You can't fix everything. It's just not going to happen.
Okay, you know what?
I fear that this is one of those things. Murder's already been outlawed. We're not going to put any deeper consequence on the action of owning this or owning that.
Hang on.
Let's look at it this way.
Just hang on really quick. Let me say this. This just hit me like a ton of bricks.
Uh-oh.
Think about how few details we have of this event. We don't even have really details about the different types of guns.
Or even if he used a bump fire stock.
Exactly. And out of this whole collection of shit, the biggest thing we're talking about is a bump fire fucking stock.
But it leads to all of those other things. And if they get this through, if they make the bump fire stock the devil, and they make the bump fire stock the headline, and no one bothers to object to the other things that are in that bill,
right? No,
gun owners in America are going to wake up one morning and become a felon.
I get it, but in this, back to the event itself, who decided that? Went in and said, "Hey, let's make a big deal out of this bump fire piece of shit plastic stock."
Well, there's even more, and that's what the next story is, and it's 9:30, so we're going to break, but I promise you want to stick around because the second half of this story involves the National Gun Group along with the people from the shooting in Vegas suing the bump stock maker. Doesn't sound like much, but there's a lot more to that story that's really going to, open up a few people's eyes in just a couple minutes.
We don't even know if he used the gun.
They won't even let me break. 30 minutes after, we're going to break for 2 seconds to tell you, head on over to everydaycarrylife.com. Check out this messenger bag. I used it all week for the special purpose of, again, being able to go live from Daytona. Everything fit in the bag. Again, the same quality you've expected. It had all the secret compartments and all the different things you would want as an EDC carrier. And Ross, you wore the Kanai Pro Gear, the Cali-Tac stuff last week.
Dude, the shirts, gorgeous. I love those shirts, man. They stretch in all the right places.
He kept saying that. It's true, though. They are both the polos and the Cali-Tac stuff. It's just great stuff for what we were doing, which was running around filming, shooting guns.
Good stuff.
A lot of coverage coming up, and we'll spend the last 10 minutes of the show talking about that if we get to it. I think we will. All right, there's your break. See how easy it was?
I'm so glad Carl Kanai got out of urban and went into tactical.
Everydaycarrylife.com, you jerk. All right, so, yeah, it's all about this bump stock thing, Casey. The suit that's been filed by the survivors of Route 91 Harvest and the Brady Center have sued Slide Fire Solutions, which holds itself as the sole patent holder of bump fire technology, but they're glad they jammed that into their patent at this time, with numerous patents registered, And they are also going to be with yet to be named retailers that sold the devices, a dozen of which were believed to be fitted to the rifles used by this Paddock guy to kill 58 people and injure hundreds earlier this last month.
Was any of this slide fire stuff on any agendas prior to this shooting?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so.
Slide fire defended their niche in the marketplace, forcing competitor Bump Fire Systems out of business last year after a lengthy court battle.
Were they the ones that made the bump ski?
I believe that is the name of what they had. Now, here's the thing. Here's where it gets very tricky, and I want to thank my homeboy, you know who you are, for pointing this out to me when we were having a conversation earlier today or yesterday. In a legal analysis of the litigation, firearms attorneys have noted, actually, Adam Kraut from the Gun Collective, I guess, the protection in the Lawful Commerce of Arms Act may shield a slide fire as they are a Type 7 federal firearms license, which puts them under the definition of a manufacturer under the PLCAA, which is what they call that thing. The protection, which was signed into law in 2005 by President Bush, has been legal kryptonite to the Brady Group in the past. Because of this thing saying, well, you're not manufacturing the gun. Basically, that whole act has prevented anyone from suing anyone that's used a gun in a crime or a murder.
You should know just the manufacturer. Sue the manufacturer of the
manufacturer. So
right.
This suit is going to challenge that. If they get this passed, if this suit goes the wrong way, as we call it the wrong way, that's going to change everything dramatically in an instant.
You're right. It blows that out of the water.
But look, it takes personal responsibility away from the shooter and puts it on the company. That's irrational. I mean,
so they're going to argue, but Ross, they're not even arguing that the gun company did it, which they'll go after the gun companies too. But they're going to argue that the bump fire did it. That's what they're saying.
But they didn't. The product wasn't intended for sportsmen. It's intended for the same use as a gun is. Which unfortunately is to kill things, but it's misused in the event that it's murder. It's against the law. It just is ridiculous. And then to infer that the gun manufacturer or the part manufacturer had some responsibility in the act occurring is 100% false. And I encourage you to look at the things that are happening across the pond. What are they going to do? Go after Mercedes-Benz because it was their truck that ran over 990 people in a show? I mean,
that's what would be next.
Of course it is. If you can do this with the gun, the car is next. Every accident will go back to the manufacturer. It is a very, very, very slippery slope. And from a moral perspective, it's the wrong way to go. People are responsible and solely responsible for their actions. The laws don't infer to the tools and methods that were used. You don't blame Sears because it happened in their shop.
All right. So the one thing that's been awesome so far is Ross hasn't called out any people on the other side, any names tonight, and you're not allowed to. So keep it going.
I never do that.
Nope. So, Ross, how's the chat going tonight?
The chat is blowing up, man. I'm sorry, I can only read this stuff at this point.
First person that can mention any of our guests last week will get a patch and a sticker from Gearworks.
Headworks.
So first person, talk to Ross.
Anybody that was at
anyone
Big
that says
right?
Any of our guests that were with us live in Daytona last week. So even if you got to go Google. All right, so first right answer gets the patch. Let me know, and we'll
BSD line shooter.
He always wins.
I know he's quick, man. That's what you get for being on the ball every show.
You're it. So send me your information. I forgot about that. So to wrap this up and move on a little bit, and we can obviously discuss this at length more if we have to. The bill numbers S-1916, HR 3949, HR 3999. Call your people. Write an email. Talk to somebody in your local community that's a community leader that can be a voice, and be your own voice. Go do your thing, whatever it may be.
Whatever you can find, just be active. Yeah, do something proactive out there. Respond to some of these crazy bills. I mean, really, guys, we really need to impart some common sense out there, get people out of the hamster wheel that seems to be in constant rotation, and get people to start thinking for themselves, because these extra laws are doing nothing to help the problem. They may make people feel better, but that doesn't count. It doesn't stop things from happening.
So they're trying to trying to the media is definitely fueling this fight, and we need to stay on top of it. One of the things that happened was an Australian reporter, Maggie Palmer. She was sent out on a mission to buy a gun in a Las Vegas store, a town she described having as relaxed gun laws. Quote, literally all you need to buy a new gun is a local ID card, she wrote in a piece, and then she had a video with it as well. So let's take a look real quick.
Which one do you want to see?
I mean, which rifle would you recommend, I guess?
Well, I'm not really a gun expert, but...
You're not a gun expert, but you're allowed to sell guns even though you're not a gun expert?
I'm not really, but my gun expert is off today. That's a rifle.
Right. And I can...
You don't have to be a alcohol expert to sell alcohol, do you?
I don't think so.
You could chuck a couple bottles of alcohol and kill yourself pretty quick, couldn't you?
Yeah.
All right, I'm just pointing that out.
This, if I lived in Nevada. Okay.
They just for self-defense, hunting
or self-defense. So most people
unless you want to kill somebody.
Unless you want to kill somebody.
I can't believe she said that.
Like, how do you... I've never had to hold a gun before. And how much is this one? $397. You have a sniper, your own one?
One of these.
Really? How did you get that?
I got it for my 14th birthday.
Your 14th birthday?
So now that was a BB gun. For the record, the sniper rifle was a BB gun that he's talking about that he got for his 14th. So that's very misleading there. And also the line before, I don't think the gal from Walmart should have said, unless you want to kill somebody. That is a little irresponsible for the sales staff to be saying things like that to anyone buying. But she's obviously trying to prove a point that anyone can just walk in and buy a gun.
Dude, it's Walmart.
I don't really know. I'm still there.
So these are self-defense bullets, and that's because when they hit someone,
it's not gonna really like strongly hit them.
Right. So we've just left Walmart, which is the equivalent of our Kohl's or a Big W, and it was pretty clear that it is super easy to buy guns over the counter there. While I couldn't actually buy one because I don't.
What? It's super easy, except what happened, Ross?
She couldn't buy one.
Wait a minute.
What?
So what was the point of the whole thing? To go in and put all these other little things into people's heads about how easy it is and how that kid bought a sniper rifle when he was 14 or got one when he was 14, or how defensive bullets are going to hit people hard. It's just all of it's so ridiculous.
It really is, dude. And really, these guys have a budget to research and probably ought to before they go and try to buy a gun and get rejected.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, why would you even publish that?
Because she was able to look at one over the counter in a Walmart.
Do you guys remember that video from not too long ago where the guy tried to go buy a gun to prove how easy it was, and the gun shop denied him because he had domestic on his freaking record?
Yep.
Yeah, it was that easy, huh?
Yep. That easy.
Yep. All right, let's talk about two other quick stories. One is just beyond my mind, but we've been talking about all these Colorado gun store thefts, Ross, correct?
Yeah, in Colorado. Yep.
So over 400 guns have been stolen that they've accounted for from gun stores in Colorado this year.
17 members they have of what they're calling crews suspected of stealing 400 firearms from Colorado gun shops
have been arrested.
That's just so far. That's just so far in 2017.
So 17 arrests just happened, including
obviously
the most armed man in America.
Burglarized from gun stores.
Including that guy, the Dragon Man, the self-proclaimed most armed man in America. We talked about him a couple weeks ago. His place got robbed.
Yep, sure did. Stole his truck, crashed through its electrically charged fence and metal garage, got inside the premises and had multiple handguns, shotguns, rifles, and now they face charges of theft of a federal firearm, which I'm sure is going to be a hefty fine. I'm sure it's going to be a hefty sentence.
Yep. This next story is one that just got me because I can't get past it. I'm gonna go down this road on this story. Have you guys ever had a golden retriever dog, full grown puppy, snap at you, attack you, get angry at you, show viciousness in your lives? That breed of golden retriever? Because I have not.
Vicious?
I put them on like one of the most awesome family dogs, loving dogs, like super happy to see you, there to guard you, but not vicious and angry and attacking an average person, correct? I mean,
more like licking them to death than.
In Massachusetts, this man is claiming self-defense and he shot this golden retriever 5 times after he felt like he was going to get hurt.
Huh. Woof. What did he shoot him with? Not that that's important, but would he go in and grab the rifle?
So there's a guy named Mark, who that's how he's being identified of. He's responsible for the couple that whose dog was shot. Mark, who said he has a list of problems with animals getting into his chicken coop, heard a frenzy near the coop on Sunday, so he grabbed his gun and headed outside. Whoops. He said he discovered 2 dogs and a dead chicken. He tried to spook the dogs. Then he claims the retriever turned and charged at him. He had no choice but to shoot him. It was self-defense. It was either get bit by the dog or shoot him. He shot the golden retriever 5 times. Oof. A 50-pound golden retriever. One more woof, Ross. Come on.
Oof. Can't believe it. I mean, you can. I guess if it were dark enough, and of course you got a dead chicken there.
The dog was described by the couple as a, quote, goofball who got along well with children and loved to play in the water.
Yeah, so there you go.
Called animal control and called them directly. I don't know, man. I have a thing in my heart for dogs, especially those family types. They're just, I don't buy it. That guy, Mark, jerk.
Chickens cost $3, man. Get a new chicken.
In other news, 3?
Yeah, about $3, $3-4. Depends on what you get, but.
Can you get 100 chickens delivered to your house tonight if you wanted to in Colorado?
I could get 100 chickens delivered this week.
For $300?
And no, it probably only costs you $100 at 100 chickens. I don't know. You could look online, man. They're there.
Fascinating. All right, Googler, how much for chickens? All right, that was the left turn of the night. This one is the lesson of the night. We've talked about this type of situation before. I posted this and said, gosh, just learn something from this because it's so brutal, the stories. Father soothing his crying son accidentally killed himself as he was trying to catch a falling gun. His gun fell out of his shoulder holster as he was reaching through the driver's side of the door to console his infant who was crying. The gun 357 mag falls out, so I'm assuming it was a revolver. He reached to grab it, and a single bullet fired into the owner, the father's stomach. It was caught on surveillance camera, and it happened in that driveway of their home.
$250 each, minimum order of 10.
$250 each, minimum order. He's back on chickens. Talking about a guy shooting himself. Just hang on a second.
Yeah, but chickens are cool, man.
So anyway, he accidentally hit the trigger, is what they're saying, when the gun was falling. So the lesson that we want to make sure everyone gets from this is if a gun falls, those mechanisms within definitely semi-automatic guns, you got to trust that that's not something you should be grabbing. We've had story after story of this over the years.
We really have. And lately it's been story after story of it. They should put that shit in the manual.
Yep.
Don't catch a falling gun.
Yep.
But secure your gun too. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, if it's, the situation may be, you know, unique, but geez, your gun should be secure on your person, you know?
Yep. All right, Google.
Like a lot of people are losing their guns these days. I'm just saying.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right, Google. Let's tell people, post a kind of a wrap up on Big Three. You got to join us for a day. Ross, you were there, and anybody that was following us on American Gun Association or on Gun Carrier or on Gun News Weekly, they saw a lot of coverage from there. What'd you guys think overall?
I thought it was awesome. Troy was probably one of the best booths that we went to. Got to shoot some full auto suppressed, which was amazing.
You got to do a couple things for the first time, correct?
My first AK shoot. That was pretty cool.
His first AK shoot, correct? That he's talking about the SOC CQB rifle from Troy, which was cool. There is a video up on and out on that. Cool little weapon, man. And if you watch it, just so flat. I'm sitting there shooting a full auto, and it just they know how to make a gun that knows how to manage that recoil. And then Google, you were also talking to them about that buffer system that they use there.
Yeah, because I wasn't too sure because I had seen it before. It's like a one-piece buffer system and bolt carrier group. It's actually built in, so it's not like an insert that would go into the basically female socket on the bolt carrier group. It's one solid piece, which kind of dampens the recoil as the bolt carrier group goes back.
Yep, very cool stuff. Cool. Medieval has their new 360 rotating grip. I'm getting ready to work on a video on that. That was a very cool product looking back. Let's look at a couple pictures. I'll flip through a few, and then we'll watch a little video. I actually have queued up in case you've never heard of what tactical jiu-jitsu is. We got a demonstration. Speaking of, that was from the guys from Spikes, and they brought their friends from tactical jiu-jitsu, and they also brought the Snowflake. We got to see replaceable barrels and Fight Light with the, there it is, the
belt fed
AR.
Booyah.
Good stuff. But they also had these we talked about these. These are the
SCRs.
There you go. Something along that line. Sport
configurable rifle.
There you go. So it basically has a charging handle like an AR. It takes a magazine like an AR. You can use optics like an AR.
The lower is different. The upper is any upper you can use on a standard AR. So if you got 5.56 lower, you can modify that for 300 blackout or whatever. It's multi-cal at that point, but it is a different lower. It's not just any old lower. They're definitely custom to those guys.
And they were very cool. There's a couple more shots of the belt fed. This is
tail hook.
This is Gearhead Works, correct?
Yeah.
So this is the guys that have a different version of a brace. It's pretty cool, actually. You can see
it's very cool. Very cool. Takes the weight of the rifle off your hands, puts it back on that tail hook. That tail hook allows you to pull in an isosceles stance comfortably, unlike as anybody who's used a SIG brace around your arm knows, those things are almost impossible to get an isosceles stance out of. I felt like it made the pistol easier to use, and it folds up. It's collapsible. It makes the pistol quite compact.
All right. This is not QVC, Ross. We're just talking about some of the shit quickly.
No, I know, dude, but it's like a really cool product, man. I think everybody ought to check it out. I don't get paid for none of this shit, but this is a really cool product if you're into pistols.
It is, actually. And make sure you go check them out. And thanks for the patch because we gave it away. The Beast from WMD. This is all the DLC coatings and some of the different things.
Nickel boron.
Yeah, nickel boron, bunch of different things there. This is Maxim, maybe? Yeah, Maxim. Yep. This is going to be easily going to be the Googler's favorite part of the show because he got to take pictures of us we'll go back to that. RS Regulate. Let's do that real quick. RS Regulate was there with their mounts and a couple of their AKs. That's one of the AKs that the Googler got to shoot, actually. I think that's the one right there. And they have their new RS Regulate rails for the Galeals. And I like their colors. I like some of the different things. This is one of the giveaways that we got, some of the swag from Troy. I'll find out if there's any extras. Maybe we can give away a couple next week.
Yeah.
There's some of the rifles we were shooting, including the Pump California Legal Pump AR.
The innovation, you know, I was complaining that we didn't see a lot of innovation, or I was worried we wouldn't see a lot of innovation. And there's quite a bit of innovation out there. A Pump AR, just
the AUG,
cool.
I did see my past because there's something I can't show, and I want to make sure that I don't show it. I don't want to violate any. Let me jump up to the medieval grip. I know that I can show that.
Some interesting calibers came out of Big 3.
Yep. Here's the medieval 360 grip.
Oh, yeah.
Well, already has a video out on this from a while ago. He had this before Big 3. There it is. Medieval.
Super solid construction.
What's cool is, if you have any, for me, I'm thinking about it because I've broken my left wrist twice in life, and to be able to hold something in like the perfect angle, it seems to me like it might be something I really want to try for sure. So I am going to. And there's storage in there, but any degree you want to. Demonstration, some more of the Troy stuff, a lot of pictures, a lot of different things. Oh yeah, there he is.
Oh yeah.
So we got to shoot and hang out. In case you missed the video, Ross and I got to hang out and meet Tonto and Boone, the guys from Benghazi.
A real honor, honestly. A real honor.
Super cool guys. And that's some of the cool perks from some of these events. There's those that Kenai gear we were talking about, Ross.
Yep. Great stuff. We didn't get to talk. We didn't get to talk about the bag, but the bag is badass.
Yep. And then I wanted to share a little bit.
Hey guys, my name is Jonathan.
My bad. Jonathan Burke and Kit Cope put on a quick little jiu-jitsu thing from. They did a little demo for us, and I got actually enough footage to do about 4 or 5 different segment videos, but I just wanted to show you the kind of stuff we're looking at. Whoa, sorry.
You're going to line up your bicep on one carotid artery and your forearm on the other. He grabs his own shoulder, and his other hand grabs his other shoulder. Now look at my face, and he's done nothing. By the way, he's using 0 strength. All he's got to do is hug me like he misses me. Tap, 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 tap.
Tap, tap.
He wants me to pass out on camera. So you wrap, you hold, you get behind. Now he's going to just touch his elbows. That's it. Now the issue, what happened in New York with the Gardner case.
I thought this was interesting info.
You had a height discrepancy, see? And the law enforcement, instead of changing his level, they came behind, they did this. So they crushed the larynx, creating asphyxiation and death. If they had cupped my shoulders, push kick to one of my legs gently, change the level. Now he's got it. So everything comes down to technical application and understanding body mechanics. And when you understand the body mechanics, anyone in the world can defend themselves. Remember this. As much as even I love guns, you cannot, whether it's legally, logistically, or geographically, you can't bring a weapon everywhere. But when you're trained in hand-to-hand, you are carrying at all times.
Make sure you check out Next Level Combatives. Go look him up. The dude's resume is about as legit as it gets. He's trained extensively.
And I don't know if you noticed, but that's Kit Cope back there too.
Ed Kit, that was the other one who was working.
Look him up.
He's kind of a been there, done that kind of guy when it comes to hitting people. Oops, sorry. But Mr. Burke, Ross, trained with a guy named Gracie, you might have heard of. So anyway, and then other pictures. Let me see if there's anything else. Troy carbon fiber rail. Thanks again to CJ, the whole crew there. Big Ron, Jack, everybody that helped, Jacob, everybody that's out there. Big shout out to Schwell for running it again like the professional, event that it is. And once again to CJ, Amy, and the whole crew out there. Thanks again for the hospitality. We truly enjoy coming every 6 months.
And dude, a special shout out to those few people who could get us back there on Saturday or on Thursday.
You want to talk about that mud?
Oh my goodness gracious, man. I haven't seen mud like that in many years. And I was pretty impressed with the equipment that they used to get us back there. So
whoa. You want to know what would have worked really well, Ross?
A sled?
How about
8 tiny reindeer? I don't know.
How about a Jeep tank?
A Jeep tank would have worked.
A Jeep tank.
I'm pretty sure that's what we were in. So
a Jeep tank would have worked. Let's check it out. Oh my God, I want one of these so bad. Look at that. Kevlar protected fuel tank, Ross. And only 178 G's.
For 180.
Thanks to Rated R. They put that video out today. I thought it was awesome enough to check out. And we'll get the show dreaming about that thing. Woo! Another quick 60 minutes, guys.
All them new curves and stuff. I don't know.
You wouldn't want that?
Oh, I'm not saying I wouldn't take it if someone were giving it to me, but for 180,000, I could think of some better vehicles.
I would have made my own trail at that thing last week. Let's wrap it up and say thanks to everybody. Googler, appreciate you jumping in as always.
No problem. Have a good rest of the week.
You too. Casey, appreciate it as always, brother.
Yeah, man. Good stuff.
The only thing we didn't bring up, Ross, was that I was at NRA when Trump got in front of the NRA and said, no more infringement on the Second Amendment. With me as your president,
let's hope he means it.
There will be no more. Let's hope. Let's hope.
Guys, anybody thinking in a common sense mode knows that we're not going to put any more or worse punishments on any crime than murder. Murder is the ultimate punishment. People die for that. You're not going to die because you own a bump stock. It's pointless to put a law in place. It's feel good at best. Be smart.
Support what you can and stick to your gun, so to speak. In again, the true way of a bunch of responsible people sat around today with guns in their possession and didn't hurt anybody. Let's remember that every day. And again, all the people that were able to diffuse a situation, and all the people that had to choose to protect themselves rather than die. It happens every day, all over the world, not just here, but in places where you're not allowed to have guns. We're in the place where the founders said, you know what, it's important enough that we're going to give you a Bill of Rights so that you don't have to deal with those types of tyrannical governments anymore. We say that and people laugh at it. Oh, people are worried about the government. Blah, blah. Go look around the globe. Go look at all the different alternatives that are out there and let really tell me you think that they're better. And I'm going to end it on that. Thanks to Frank and everyone that has supported us along the way. We do appreciate it. You can support us by going on over to everydaycarrylife.com. Check out what we got going on there. And hook up your friends. Tell them about the show. Check out Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff. Share it, like it, whatever. Ross, we'll talk to you next week.
Of course.
And thanks again. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll talk to you next week. Later.